Children can't make up their minds as to what they want for breakfast, but advocates of transgenderism say if a little boy decides at age 6 he wants to be a girl, we ought to put him in a dress, start irreversible chemical hormone therapy that will forever alter his body, and have him shower with girls after gym class. It's a form of child abuse, and it means that boys who are physically different than girls should be able to compete in female athletic competition. The results of that is that boys pretending to be girls are setting new records, and they're shutting out real girls from being competitive in many sports. Last week, Arizona passed a bill that would ban transgender athletes from competing in girls' school sports. I wonder if other states might be on the same path to a return to common sense. Well, my first guest tonight is an attorney representing 3 girls in Connecticut who filed a federal complaint over Connecticut's policy to allow biologically male athletes to compete against them. Please welcome Christiana Holcomb. Christiana, it's a delight to have you here. I want to just get right into this. How did this case come about, and the organization you're part of, the Alliance Defending Freedom, how did you guys get involved in this?
Well, girls deserve to compete on a level playing field, but unfortunately the state of Connecticut has passed a policy that now allows boys who identify as girls to compete in the girls category. And as a result, young female athletes in Connecticut are losing out on podium spots, on championship titles, and opportunities to advance to the next level of competition. And one of those young athletes named Selena Soul started standing up and asking for help because those in Connecticut would not stand up and support her and push back on that policy. And so as a result, Alliance Defending Freedom got involved and now has the privilege of representing her and 2 other young female athletes.
Let's make clear that when these boys who say they're transgender and they're competing as girls, these are not boys who have had surgical alterations. These are not boys who necessarily have fully embraced a female body. So they still have a male biological body, but they're participating as females. Is that correct?
That's correct. The policy doesn't require anything other than simply that these males identify as female in order to compete in the female category with all of their inherent biological advantages.
One of the interesting things, the ACLU, you would think would be on the side of these young girls to give them equal rights. They're on the other side. Why is that?
Yeah, it's incredibly discouraging. As you say, the ACLU really should be supporting equal opportunities for young women. I mean, that's the whole point of Title IX, a federal law designed to stop sex discrimination against women and ensure that young women like Selena and Chelsea and Alana, whom we represent, have those equal athletic opportunities that boys do. But unfortunately, that just is not the case in Connecticut and other states like it that allow boys to compete in the female category.
What kind of response have these girls received from their fellow students and from the community as a result of their lawsuit?
They received a lot of support from the community. I think a lot of people are really upset about the idea of males coming in and taking away championship titles and opportunities from young women. But so many people, including other young female athletes, are afraid to speak out. They're afraid of being labeled hateful names, and they're afraid of the retribution that would come. So we're just so encouraged that Selena and Chelsea and Alana have had the courage to really take a stand on this issue, not just for themselves and their futures, but for other young women across the country as well.
I don't think anybody is denying that there is a need for equality and respect. Title IX was supposed to address that so that female athletes were not given inferior facilities and inferior programs, that they had to have competitive programs. But what this would do was basically nullify everything that Title IX was supposed to help create for female athletes.
That's right. It turns back the clock nearly 50 years on Title IX and the equal athletic opportunities it was designed to provide for young women. And look, we have to recognize Title IX protects everyone on the same basis, equally, on the basis of biological sex, because biology, not a person's identity, is really what matters in athletics.
You mentioned that female athletes who are now forced to compete against male athletes whose physiological capacity for maybe jumping higher, running faster, or hitting harder is a biological issue. It's not political, it's not social, it's biological. But it also points out, and I think you mentioned this, that it precludes these young ladies from being able to participate toward championships and it could cost them college scholarships that they might have been able to compete for and win. So therefore, it does become an economic issue for them.
Absolutely. Just by way of example, 2 male athletes alone in the state of Connecticut now hold 15 women's state championship titles that were once held by 9 different Connecticut girls. And these 2 males have taken away opportunities for my clients to advance to the next level of competition, really important competitions where they compete in front of college coaches. So it's really difficult to assess how much of an economic impact these 2 males alone have had on the futures of Chelsea and Selena and Alana. And we just want to ensure that this doesn't happen to other young women. These women's scholarships should go to female athletes. That's who they're designed for, and those are the opportunities that Title IX has been intended to provide them with.
I mentioned earlier about the Arizona law. It was just passed a week ago, signed into law. Does that law have potential for other states? Do you think it will hold up in court if and when it gets challenged by people who believe that young men should be able to call themselves female and participate in girls' athletics?
Well, certainly, this is a part of a broader national conversation, and a number of states across the country are recognizing that it's a real problem when you allow males to compete in the female category. It destroys these girls' level playing field that Title IX was designed to provide them. So we're really encouraged to see a number of lawmakers across the country stepping up to the plate and trying to protect the female category to ensure that young women can continue to compete on a level playing field and not be forced to be spectators in their own sports.
Christiana, how long do you think this is going to wind its way through the courts? When do you expect a resolution?
Really difficult to say. The lawsuit in Connecticut was only filed a month ago, so we're very early in the process. But truthfully, I hope that this is not a long and drawn-out affair. I hope Connecticut does the right thing and restores a level playing field and fairness to women's sports. Selena and Chelsea, 2 of my clients, are seniors. This is their final opportunity to compete in their high school athletic career. And so this matters to them deeply. It matters right now, and it's something that I hope the court will give relief to them very quickly.
Well, I do too. Christiana, thank you so much for being with us. Pleasure to have you here. We're anxious to get an update on the case when you have it.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
When I was a child, I played soldier, but my parents didn't buy me an M16. I sometimes pretended to be Superman, and I wore a towel for a cape. But my parents didn't put me on the roof so I could fly over the neighbors' houses. If an adult determines to make a gender change, and they're willing to have the surgery and intense hormone therapy to do it after much thought and counseling, that's one thing. But for government to encourage and support the notion that minor children should make these forever alterations to their bodies, that ought to alarm us. If you want to keep up with this important case and all the work of Alliance Defending Freedom as they fight for sanity and traditional values, visit them at adflegal.org.